Good morning, fellow gardeners. Well, we're coming to you with a little video this morning now to, it's getting into fall. Matter of fact, this next week we're going to have weather that we're going to have to wear a little coat for the first part of the morning. And so it's time, if it's getting that cool, well, it's time for us to start planting our fall and winter garden. And you know, there's several people texting and calling about how do you do this? How do you plant these seeds in these wicking containers? And so that's what I'm going to do. Just get you a paper and a pencil and take you some notes, or you can go back and listen to it again and take notes, whatever you want to do, since that's one good thing about it being on video. You can keep listening to it over and over. And you know, as you get your tub filled up with containers or with pipe or whatever you're putting in there for your water holding capacity in the bottom, and then you put your good potting mix. Don't put dirt in there. Put potting mix and your fertilizers all in there. From some of the previous videos. You get this all fixed, full of soil potting mix, and you're ready to to sow your seeds. And let's face it, some people have never gardened, so they have no idea. They grew up in an era that the parents and grandparents didn't teach them to garden or anything. So that's what we're doing this morning. We're going to all learn how to garden together. So you've got your container full of soil. I would water it down good from the top and fill that bottom full of water. You know, put some fertilizer in it, like we said. Put your fertilizers up here in your soil as you're filling it up, and then go ahead and water it in and get it good and wet. Now, a good thing to do is, if you're going to plant lettuce or spinach or kale or collards or mustard greens, stuff like that. Now I didn't say cabbage, so don't put cabbage as close as I'm going to tell you about the lettuce and the spinach and the kale and the collards and the mustard greens. You're going to put you either 6 or 7 holes around that, close to the outside edge. And what I would do, I would just scratch out a little bit of place, you know, about the size of a baseball or something, down just about 3/4 to an inch deep, and just kind of scratch that soil out of there and make me about 5 or 6 of them around the outside edge, and then make me one right in the middle. Now I'm talking about these 20-gallon containers, what I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about your 5-gallon. I'm talking about the 20-gallon containers. And you're going to make those little indentions about the size of a baseball, nearly about 3/4 to an inch deep. And the reason you do that is you're going to plant all your seeds in each one of those little holes, and then you're going to cover them up just about 1/8 of an inch thick with this soil that you took out of that hole. And then you're going to water it in again. And making these little indentions around there for the seed to be down in, they won't dry out as fast down in those little indentions they will laying up here on top of the soil. See, if you plant them up there on just on level soil and then cover them up with a little bit of soil, then they're going to dry out every day pretty bad. But if you've got them down in a little indention about 3/4 to an inch deep, then that stays moist down in there a little longer. That soil has to get dry over an inch deep before it dries out that hole in the bottom. So that gives you a little more time in between your waterings to keep those seeds moist. Anyway, you don't put a lot of seeds in each one of those holes. Say like the lettuce or the spinach, you know, you're only going to put 3 or 4 seeds in each hole, and then cover them over after you get them all, some seeds in each one of them holes. Then come back and put you a little bit of soil over each one of those. Just cover up the seeds about 1/8 of an inch thick. And then you'll water it in again. And then each day or every other, well, you need to watch every day, but when it starts getting dry, you need to put some more water on the top. You see, that water's not going to wick all the way from that bottom all the way up and water the top of that soil. That soil is going to dry out from the air on top. So that's the reason you're going to have to water from the top until these seeds come up. Now don't go out there and just flood it every day. If it looks like it's moist, don't water it. As long as it's moist, it's okay. You can wait till the next day or that afternoon or whatever. And just kind of keep an eye on it a couple, 3 times a day. And it's according to the looseness of your soil how fast it's going to dry out. If you put coarse soil in there, it gets more air, naturally it'll dry out quicker. If you put a real fine soil in there, then it's going to hold that moisture longer. But I'm not saying use the real fine soil. I like a pretty coarse soil in mine, even if it causes me to have to water an extra day every now and then. Because we like enough air in that soil that those plants will not rot in that moisture you have there. So anyway, you put those seeds in, you cover them over about 1/8 inch thick, you water them in, and then you wait till the next day and you check it and see if it's not moist around them seeds. Put you some more. Don't just squirt it with a water hose. It's good to have one of them little nozzles on the end of it that makes a little fine mist, breaks the water up into particles. And water that from the top. You're going to have to water from the top for the next couple, 3 weeks until you get that lettuce up and or spinach up and going, and let the roots get down in there, a couple of inches deep or so that they can kind of take over from the bottom then. But it doesn't have anything to have your bottom full of water down under there and still be watering from the top for a while. Now the reason we tell you to stop watering from the top as the plants get older is because we want that wicking system working from the bottom, so we want you to put your water down in the bottom, and that way if you water every morning, putting it down in there, or if you water once a week or every 3 or 4 days, you put it down in the bottom, that thing's going to keep the same consistency of moisture in that tub. But if you go out there and just soak it down from the top, every day, then it can't work wicking from the bottom. So that's the reason we suggest after they get bigger, the plants get bigger, then we stop doing it where the roots are down in there deep enough, getting their own moisture, just put the water down in the pipe. But anyway, that's the way you plant those little seeds. You don't put a whole lot of seeds of those leafy greens in there, and they'll grow on out. Some of you are worried about having them outside in Texas and all. You're fine. Lettuce and spinach will take some freezing, and it makes it taste better and everything. So it's okay to let it freeze some. Those of you where it's real cold, if you wanted to cover up, you can cover your barrel up at night with a blanket or a bedspread or a quilt or something, that insulates it. You don't have to worry about the water in the bottom of it. Yeah, it's going to freeze some. It won't burst your tub because as long as you've got containers down in there breaking that ice up, it's not going to break your container. As long as you got a stick down in there or something, but you've got those pipe in there or jugs, one or the other, and they'll be all right. So just go ahead and leave them outside. They won't hurt anything. Now, cabbage, that's something else. Now, you can't put that many in that tub. Cabbage, if you just put one plant of cabbage in that tub, that cabbage head would get 3 to 4 foot across. We had a little 11-year-old girl over at Durant. She got one of these tubs off of me, and she planted one cabbage plant in it, and it got 40 inches across. That cabbage head was that big, the leaves and all, was bigger than the container was. So you can't put 6 or 7 of those in there, just one, maybe 3. You could put 3 in there, they just won't grow as big. Put 1 in a 5-gallon bucket. And by the way, those of you who are using 5-gallon containers, you can only put about 3 of the lettuce plants or the spinach or the kale or the collards, mustard greens. About 3 Brussels sprouts is all you can put in that tub, in that bucket. In the tub, you can put you about 5 around outside and 1 in the middle. Kind of the same way with the garlic bulbs. Put anywhere between 6 and 10 pieces of garlic. Now you don't take that big whole bulb and plant it. You break that bulb up into sections. It'll have 8 or 10 or 12 sections in each one of those bulbs. You can break them apart. You'll see how they are. You don't peel them. You leave the peeling on each little section. Now you have to peel the outside to get it started breaking into sections. And leave those little sections, the skin on them. And when you plant them in there, plant them with the root part down and the little sharp point up. And put those garlic in about 3 inches deep down in your soil. And you're going to water the same way till they kind of get started. Now, you know, with radishes, beets, and turnips, they're going to have a bulb on the bottom of them. You can't put a lot of them in there. You're going to have to move those seeds about every 2 or 3 inches apart. And plant them another way. When they come up, they can go ahead and make a bulb. If you plant those things real thick in that tub, 50 seeds in that tub, they'll be so thick they can't make a bulb on the bottom. So you have to kind of place those seeds around where you want them. I go around making a ring all the way around close to the outside edge, and then I come in about 2 or 3 inches and I make me another ring, kind of stagger them in between them and make a ring, and then come in another 3 inches and make another ring, and then put 1 or 2 right in the middle. And that way that gives those root crops, even carrots the same way. Now that includes radishes, onions, beets, turnips, carrots, all in that same category, that you've got to scatter those seeds in there, or scatter those plants in there, and then keep them watered in until they get rooted down deep enough that they can that wicking system can take over. Anyway, I hope this helped you a little bit on planting your seed this fall. It's time to get them out and get started thinking about it. Some of you are going to ask, well, do I need to put fertilizer in my tubs again? We do. Each growing season, spring and fall, we put the fertilizers back in the container like I suggest. And then you go ahead and use your 10-4-3 on your plants, getting them started and everything. Every time you water, you put if you're going to use a couple of gallons on there, or down in that bottom, put you a couple of teaspoons of fertilizer in there, mix it in and pour it in there. And you put 1 teaspoon per gallon. So you can figure that out on your own, how much you're going to put in. Okay, if you like this video, ring the bell, subscribe, punch that button, and tell us about it, and we'll make you another one. Y'all have a good, happy gardening day.